All right, everyone. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. I know it's been about 4 weeks since we've had a real solid webinar. Had a couple of things going on personally that kept me from being able to do it, but we've got a really special one for you today. Myself, Stephen Joseph, Louis Garibay, those are the individuals that work with me in the social agent and with lead source management, are on with Edward and forgive me if I say your last name wrong, Edward Terres. Is that how you say it?
Terrace, like the terrace building.
Terres. Okay, so Edward Terres. There you go. Um, we're going to be talking about follow up today. That's what most of these webinars are going to be about. Um, you know, getting leads and training and all that stuff. That's all the stuff you guys pay for. But my goal and my team's goal is always to provide value after the sale, so to speak. Which is, I could sell you guys training, I could sell you guys a monthly service, get you a bunch of leads, and then send you on your way. Um, but I care about what happens after that. Those leads come in. I want you guys to close as many of them as possible. Um, Edward is one of my trainees that I trained probably 2 months ago, maybe. Is it 2 or 3 months?
Ago. Yep.
Very rarely, and I'll be honest with you guys, very rarely do I see a trainee um, take the bull by the horns as rapidly and as consistently as Edward has. Um, he's done. I mean, I think when we spoke on the phone, you were kind of like, "How do I follow up?" When we were initially talking, you were doing mostly rentals in Chicago, um, and then from there, before I knew it, you were doing. You had buyers coming out of there from the leads, and you had this whole follow-up system put into place that differs a little bit from what we do as a company, but different market, different everything else. And you put out that post that some people may have seen, some people may not have seen yet, um, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So Stefan's going to have some questions for you. And guys, forgive me, I'm looking around. I've got 3 different screens, and my lighting is really bad in my office, so that's why you can barely see me. I promise you I will get proper lighting in here so that you can see me on camera soon. And I'm kind of glad it's dark because I didn't get a haircut today. Not until 5 o'clock anyway. But I want to take you guys through, I want Edward to take you guys through what he does on a daily basis. And what he does may work for a majority of people and may not work for some others. And then some of the other webinars that we do may have a different style, like Ian Hilario's, which is the first one we did a couple months ago. His style is extremely aggressive. Even I look at it and go, whoa, man, it's pretty. It's 7-8 calls in the first 30 minutes. That's a lot, but you know what? He closes a lot of business, and I'm hopefully lucky enough to have him and his team joining my brokerage in Vegas soon. So he'll be working with me. Ian, yeah, I just put you on the spot there, so let's make it. All right, so Edward, why don't you open up and tell us a little bit about that post that you made? I believe it was early last week, or maybe the week before. What it was, what you do, how you structure a day in the life of Edward in Chicago.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to be a part of this. I just kind of want to show like who I am and how I got to be a part of the social agents. So and for anybody that wants to follow my journey, you can follow me on Instagram at Edward Terres. That's EdwardTerres, and I have a weekly vlog on YouTube and a weekly podcast at the Chicago Hustle. So
Edward, quick interrupt. Do you have a way to get closer to the mic or to have a plug-in headphones? If you're a little bit, yeah, that'd be better. Just sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's much better.
Clearer, that's all. Yeah.
Is that better? Good.
Yes, yeah, much better.
Okay, as I was saying, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Edward Terres, my weekly vlog on YouTube, and my podcast at the Chicago Hustle. But when I first came to Chicago, I've kind of had transitions in my life where, I first came to Chicago and I was driving Uber, and then while I was driving Uber, I transitioned into renting apartments, and then eventually I was able to give up driving Uber to renting apartments, and now majority of my business is renting apartments, but now I've been wanting to transition out of renting apartments to selling houses and helping people purchase as well. Because when I first started in rentals in Chicago, people weren't willing to drive a half an hour for a crappy rental for $500, but I was driving an hour for $30 in an Uber. So I was willing to drive an hour for $500. And now I'm getting to the point now where I do so much following up with renters in Chicago. And I was like, wow, I'm doing the same follow-up and I'm doing the same job, but I'm getting paid. Can I swear on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid dog shit compared to what somebody who's selling a house gets. So when I actually got introduced to Williams training was I got a script partner, and I was practicing my scripts with a woman in Texas. And she told me, I asked her, where do you get your leads? And she said, I get them from, I basically walk into my brokerage and they're there. And I said, holy shit, you walk into your brokerage and you get leads. How can I get those leads? And she told me that William had a system, and I told myself that once I had enough money in the bank, I was going to pay for this system. So 2 months ago, I had enough money. The summer season is very lucrative for a Chicago rental agent. And so I took that money and I invested it, every penny I had, into, I remember telling William, I said, William, I don't get paid till this date. So I literally can't give you this money until I get paid on this day, but you'll have it. And so that's kind of how I got introduced to it, not to kind of drag that out. But I guess I could do you want me to transition to my follow-up here?
Yeah, so I'll give everybody the long story short, just kind of in the beginning. So that's how he found me. And, from there, fast forward probably about a month's wait on my wait list. And we train, leads start coming in. And then that's when I really started to notice about 2 weeks in, how you were starting to develop the follow-up process that you had going on. I think you were kind of developing it as you were going. At least that's how I perceived it anyway, because it was kind of like you were trying new things on the lives that you were doing in the group every Friday.
Yeah.
And you just kept adding it on and on and on, and then of course you got to the point where you felt like you had it perfected, I think, and then you posted that post up. So yeah, why don't you take people through a day in life? So guys, again, he is one of my trainees. He gets leads from his own efforts now that he's trained with me and has ads that he's working with. And then the process that he's about to tell you about is what he does on a daily basis in an area like Chicago, a very busy area, to convert these leads. And I can tell you right now, if this system is working in an area like Chicago, of all places, it should be able to work pretty much anywhere. All right, so Edward, why don't you kind of take us down real quick, maybe just like a 3 to 5 minute overview of how you start a day and how you end a day and everything in between, when you are working leads for your business.
Yeah, and I just want to say this real quick is I essentially have, doing rentals in Chicago so I can pay my bills with another job. I know there's a lot of real estate agents out there that struggle with making the transition, and that's what I'm going through. So it's almost, you're going to have to put in that extra work to make that transition. So what my day looks like is I wake up at 4:50 in the morning, and from 5 a.m. until 6:30, I follow up with my rental lead. So via text, so I can pay my bills. And then immediately after, I have time with my girlfriend. And then once I get to the office from 8 to 9, I have an hour of power. Now, this differs every single day depending on how my bills look, how my rental transactions are looking in comparison to the leads that are coming in. So,
right, real quick, I'm going to interrupt you. Just for those of you who are wondering, when he says hour of power or power hour, that is an hour where you turn everything off. Your computer, well, not your computer if you need to see your leads, your dialer, but your phone, your watch, your distractions, your TV, your everything, it goes off, and your dialer comes on, and for the next hour, you are solely focused on calling people, leaving voicemails, or talking on the phone when you get someone to answer. That's what power hour means. Some people do power hours. Some people do power 2 hours, or 2 or 3 power hours a day. Those are very beneficial to your business. All right, go ahead.
So when I get into my hour of power for the sales side of my business, the people who get my main priority are the people who, the people who are already in my A list. Those are people I will call first. People who are ready to buy, of course, right? But once I get past taking care of those priority clients, then I'm getting into generating new business. So for an hour, I have my daily S tab, my daily sales tab. I also have a daily rental tab. So I go through that list. The daily sales tab, it might have about 10. I crank through those. And once I call them, I have it on a single dialer on Follow Up Boss. And once it goes to voicemail, boom, I hang up. I send a text message from my template, which if you go to the last post, I literally have all of my templates in there. I send the text message. The reason I do this is because I only have so much time in the day, and I feel as if in today's world, we get a lot more responses from text messages than we do voicemails. And if I send a text, I can send that template within a tenth of a second, and I can get on to the next call. So I get on the next call, no answer, same thing, I send that text. But every time I make that call, I make a note that says how many times I've contacted this person. So when I get a new lead is then put into my daily S after I haven't been able to reach them. And I am reaching out to that lead immediately. So when the new lead comes in, William actually messaged me today, and in the moment that William messaged me, a lead came in, I called that lead, and if they don't answer, that's okay. Smart Alto or other systems, LSM or whatever you use, it's gonna follow up with that lead. So after I don't get in contact with the lead right away, they go into my daily tab. My daily S tab, I follow up with them 5 days in a row, once a day, with a call and then a text. If I had more bandwidth, I would call them in the afternoons. The reason I say I don't have as much bandwidth as I wish currently is because I still do rentals full time to pay my bills. So they go into my daily S tab. I call them once a day for 5 days. And then after that 5th and final day, they then get put in my 5-day sales tab. So then for the next 25 days, every 5 days, they get a call and then a text immediately after that call. Now, let's say that during that 5-day S, the 5 daily sales, 5 calls in 25 days, let's say they re-engage and they call me or text me. They're then going back into my daily S tab, and they're gonna go through the daily S. They're gonna get 3 more calls in daily S, and then 3 more calls in my 5-day S. And if they re-engaged, I'm gonna re-engage them, a 60% wise into my normal routine. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So once we get to the 25th day in the 5-day S, they then go in my 12 MS tab, which is 12-month S or 12-month sales tab. So they're getting a call once a month, every month for the next year. Now, let's say that we still don't get in contact with them. They're then going to get called quarterly until they buy a house with me or they die. And then now when we get in contact with these individuals, some people are going to be ready to meet. They're going to be reluctant to meet. They're going to give us objections. They're going to hang up on us. Various things are going to happen. And they get categorized into 4 sectors, or 5, I should say. We have an A lead, which is somebody that's moving. Let's say they're moving in they're looking at homes in the next 30 days. They're going to get a call every 3 days. So in Follow-Up Boss, if I haven't called, texted, or emailed them in the past 3 days, they're going to be put back into my A lead. So I open up my Follow-Up Boss and I say, wow, Cornelius is in my A tab. I'll call him, text, or call, or email, depending on what their preference is for Follow-Up Boss or following up. Let's say that they're a B lead, somebody that's looking to move in, I forget what the tab is, but it's like 60 to 90 days. Let's say they're a little bit farther out from a B lead. then they're going to be getting call, texted, and emailed once a week. Let's say they're a C lead. Let's say they're, somebody that's looking.
Real quick, just so that I know we went through a lot. I want to make sure to recap. So you're saying once a day, every day for the first week. Once every for the first 5 days, right? Let's say working days is a week, right? And then once every week for the first month, then once a month for the first year, and then once a quarter thereafter.
Correct.
Is that pretty much right? That's exactly how we train on our end as well. I love that. Brilliant. Obviously, it works. Keep doing that. And then, okay, I just want to make sure we have like a simple recap on that, and then keep going. So next section, go ahead.
Yeah. So then from there on, I have all the frequencies in that post that you can go out look at specifically. So I have A leads, B, C, D, and then E leads. Let's say somebody's like an E lead might be somebody that's moving in the next year to 19, 24 months.
Right.
You can look at those on there, but that's basically my frequencies. So let's say I meet up with somebody that, or I get in contact with somebody and they're not looking to buy for a year out. Completely fine. People think they want to move a year out because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
They might have to move a year out because they need to save for a down payment. Most people don't know you only need a 3 to 5% down payment in today's economy. There's a various amount of factors. So even if they're a year out, I want to meet with them, I want to build rapport with them, and I want to earn their business.
Yeah.
So let's say I get in contact with them. I want to meet them for coffee. Now, the biggest mistake that I made in the first month, I wasted a lot of money. I still have the leads, but I missed a lot of opportunities with Williams Ads because I wasn't meeting with these people and building rapport with them. I was like, hey, go to the lender, go to the lender, go to the lender. And some people may do that. That's great. But for me, I've gotten every person who sat down in front of me at coffee has signed a buyer's agreement with me.
Yes. So can I actually, William, believe it or not, I have something prepared on that exact point he just made. Can I share screen and show you what we need to look at on this?
Yeah, and I actually want to say something about that too. So there are a lot of people out there that will say, well, I'll never meet with a lead unless I know they're pre-approved. I'll never meet with a lead unless XYZ. You, at that point, when a person agrees to meet with you, whether they have great credit or not, you have an opportunity to meet a new person and create a relationship. And just a quick story. I know this kind of takes us off the beaten path a little bit. When I first got into the business, this was about a year before the social agent was a thing. I was doing the same thing. I've been in the position where I've had no money and I had bad credit and I wanted to buy a house and I wanted to do things for my family. And I got the same thing. A lot of agents ignored me once they found out that I needed a little bit of help and I couldn't find my way through these things by myself. But, so I started to meet with people, whether they had bad credit or not, signed an agreement with them, helped them out with a lease. And because of that, my first 3 months of doing that felt hopeless. It felt like I was not going to make any money. I was going to make a couple $1,000s a month here and there with the rentals. And it was until about month 4 or 5 that those people that really appreciated me sitting down with them and talking to them and giving them a plan. Hey, my mom needs to sell her house. Mm-hmm. Hey, my brother, who's a doctor, by the way, needs to sell his house. Oh, and he wants to buy a $1.5 million property on the lake. True story. Mm-hmm. Ended up being someone who still has not bought a house from me.
Everybody is somebody to somebody.
Yes. This person has referred me, 7, 8 deals in the last 2 years, and herself has not bought a house from me yet because she got her credit up. She's good. Just got a little bit to go on her down payment because she wants to do it on her own, and she will buy a home. But that person put probably $90,000 in commissions in my pocket so far from her brother and her mom and dad, because I did sell her mom and dad's house and help them buy another one. I did sell her brother's house and help him buy a lake house on Lake Travis here in Austin. And a couple of friends that she referred me over to. And that's not even the only one. That's just one person. I met with tons of people who have not bought homes from me and have referred other people to me. This is a relationship business. That's and every time you meet someone via email, via text message, and then you proceed to ignore them when you realize that they are not your ideal client, you've just ruined a relationship, because that person will remember that William Hegmann, if that's, let's just say I do it, William Hegman's the guy that ignored me when he was trying to get a hold of me and I told him I needed help with credit, never heard from him again. You'll never have a chance to talk to that person ever again in your life, and chances are if your name comes up with someone they know, they're going to ruin that for you.
Yeah.
So, sorry I took us off the beaten path there, but that's important.
No, it's good stuff, man. I mean, and just remember, guys, everybody is somebody to somebody. Just remember that. What Edward's saying and William's saying is absolutely true. And, we also can't make assumptions. And I want to just kind of jump in with what Edward's saying here and kind of affirm a key point. People don't know what they don't know, all right? They don't know. So 2 clients, one of them, I was talking to her and I was just asking questions. She goes, well, I know I'd like to get a house. I'm not ready yet. But I said, look, what's holding you back? Well, I have a credit score of 740. I know I need an 830. Okay. And I said, well, I'm sure we can pull some strings. Don't worry about it. That kind of thing. So another client, she said, oh, I'm in the middle of a lease. So of course you think, no problem, I'll talk to you later. I just said to her, I said, well, I understand that. We're all about those long-term relationships. Can I ask you something? If you found the perfect house, what are we talking about? 6 months from now, a year from now? She goes, oh, well, if you found the perfect house, she goes, honestly, I just have my daughter take over the lease. I was just letting you know. Okay. So the key thing our man Edward here is doing is he's not making assumptions. He's treating people with respect, dignity, meeting with them one-on-one in person. I do want to highlight this, and we're going to get back to his story. I just want to point this out. This is from the NAR in 2017, the end of year report. This really stood out to me, the home buying process. First, they looked online, then they contacted a real estate agent. If you're getting leads online, just a note, you're more than halfway there because they've both looked for properties and they're talking to you. But what's the next thing? And Edward just pointed this out. What do we want to do? We want to skip here. We want to go to this, contacted a bank or mortgage lender. No, my friend. They need to learn about the home buying process. And whether it be a quick overview over the phone, which leads into an in-person meeting. And I want to emphasize this, and I think, Edward, you may agree. If not, tell me. You don't want to get tied into long conversations by text or email. You want those to provoke a phone call. You don't want to get to answer every single question in the end of the world on a phone call. You want to answer enough questions to build a relationship and close the phone call with a meeting. At the end of the meeting, the close at the end of the meeting is a buy or sell agreement, right? Is that kind of your flow? We haven't talked before about it, but I want to see if that's your kind of flow and kind of bounce it back to you.
Yeah, so I close very quickly if I can. I will qualify later. So if I get someone on the phone, this is kind of how my conversations go. So I followed a different script at first where I would ask them, this is kind of how my call goes. So let's say that, so I call them and say, hey, John, it's Edward at Spaces Real Estate. How are you? And literally today, same thing happened where they're like, who are you? And they literally sent me their information 30 seconds ago. So I'll say, hey, this is Edward at Spaces Real Estate. How are you? And they'll be like, oh, I'm good. And then I'll say, I just wanted to reach out to you and thank you for registering on our Facebook page about buying a home. Because people, they love, oh, you're welcome. They love being like, if let's say you're here and you thanking them is putting them there, people love that for some reason. So I say that about buying a home to kind of let them know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to agree. They agree because they said I said thank you, and they want to agree because it's making them feel good, but they're acknowledging that they reached out about buying a home where people are like, yeah, I didn't fill that out. So when I started saying, hey, thank you so much for registering on our Facebook page about buying a home. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, of course. So I wanted to send that list of homes over to you, but I didn't know what you were looking for. I guess what type of homes do you love? Do you love single family homes? Do you like townhomes? What can I send to you? And then I kind of get, the list of things that they're looking for. And then at that point, some people blurt out right away on a phone call. A woman said to me, she said, I'm looking to stop paying rent. I can't believe how much rent I paid to the landlord. I gotta get my own place. And I said, you know what? That's exactly why I'm calling you. I want to put that money in your pocket too. When can I meet you? Are you available on the weekends or the weekdays? And then she told me when she was available, and we met immediately, and she signed a contract with me. If I ever have an opportunity, I don't care if I learn about their credit or not, if they're ready to buy and I can close them, then I want to meet with them as soon as possible.
Right. That's right. So for you, the close is as quickly as you can get them to meet and to sign the buyer or seller agreement. And then from there, you sort out if they're qualified or not, because you're trying to get them long-term committed. And now that you have that agreement, you can figure the rest of it out, you know?
Right. And guys, I want to point out just to add on to what he was saying with the, contacting is the average lead, whether, there are agents out there, and you guys see me call this out in the group all the time. There are agents out there that believe that this is an instant gratification business. It absolutely is not. You saw a post from me the other day about an agent that was like, I want my money back for training. I trained 2 weeks ago and this isn't working for me. He had 125 leads in 2 weeks, so the training was absolutely working for him. His reason for wanting a refund was because he was not under contract on anything yet. Like, think about that for a second. Lead comes in, you expect to be out under contract in 2 weeks. That is not the way this works. This is the biggest purchase of people's lives that we are dealing with here.
That's right.
And until you speak to this person, you are nothing more than a name on a screen. You are nothing more than a name in their email box or a number on their phone in a sea of text messages that they get throughout the day. Okay? Until you talk to them and start to build rapport and build a relationship, that's when you become, oh, hey, that's Edward, the realtor guy. Or, that's William, the guy that's been helping me look at homes online. Once you've built and established some sort of speaking terms with them or engage them in some way. And just so you guys know, the national average from the time a lead comes in to the time that you will get your first response from them is 12 contacts. 12. Let that sink in. 12 contacts. Some of them will respond after 1. Some of them will respond after 6. Some of them won't respond until 18 or 20 or 25. And that's why the average is at 12. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 14 contacts before you really have rapport with them, and then that leads to a sale. 90% of those were after the 14th contact. Like, it's crazy. But here is what I would say 95% of all agents do. And this is why a very large percentage of agents fail in the business, and why you've got your top 5% that make it and actually make a career out of it. And that is 95% of those agents. They call a lead 1, 2, 3 times, and then they say, oh, that lead sucks. They throw it to the side, or they go, oh, Williams' program sucks. These leads are crap. Not, hey, maybe I need to reevaluate my follow-up. Or maybe follow-up is just something that I'm never going to be good at, and maybe I should hire that out, right? Just like when you're a successful agent, you don't handle all your own admin work. You hire an admin. So you hired out the work that you can't do. If you can't follow up, or being on the phone's not your thing because you're a people person and you'd rather sit down and talk to somebody, then hire someone to do it for you. Hire someone who is good at that to tee up those meetings for you and to continually follow up so that you will be successful and you're not just wasting money on Facebook. Because I can assure you, if you don't have a good follow-up, long-term plan put into place like Edward has, or like Smart Auto puts into place for you if you choose to go the route of an automated follow-up system. And let me rephrase that. Smart Auto is a live human interactive follow-up system, not an automated follow-up system. So if you don't do that, you will fail. It's just like I said it on the video, and I have no problem saying it. I can train you through the social agent training. I can help you get leads, a lot of them in most cases. I can help you with a lot of things in regards to lead generation, but what I can't do is I can't help you close these leads. I can't help you follow up. I can't make you or force you to nurture your leads and do the things that you need to do to be successful. You have to do those things.
Right.
You have to be responsible for those things and take action if you want to be successful.
And to that point too, William, what you told me before, what do you do if you get a phone call from a number you don't recognize?
I don't answer it.
Never.
I will tell you guys right now. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna look at my phone because my phone's ringing at least 15 times today. I have answered one call.
Right.
One call right there at the top today.
Right.
And that is because that person was in my phone and I knew who it was. And you know what? You know where the rest of them went? The rest of them went right here into my voicemail. And I don't check those either. My voicemail says if I didn't answer your phone, it's because you were calling from an unidentified number. Do not leave a message on this phone. If I know you, send me a text message and I will respond. I won't be checking these voicemails. That, some people agree with that. Some people don't agree with that. I don't really care. It's my prerogative.
Right. And William's an extreme, but he's not out of line in the sense of this is very common. If you get one phone call from a number you don't recognize, you do send it to voicemail. It's just everyone does this.
And if you leave me a voicemail, I won't call you back.
Right. And the thing is, if you get 2 or 3 callbacks immediately, you're going to think this is someone that really needs to talk to me. This is important. Now, I want to bounce back to something Edward said real quick. If that's all right, Will, just to highlight this, because it's very similar to our approach here with Elite Source Management or Social Agent. He recognized and emphasized 2 or 3 times, you need to remind these people why you're calling them and who you are. So, we say very much, hi, this is, Stefan from Realty Solutions. I received your inquiry on Facebook about our list of homes. I wanted to see if you were receiving the email with the list of homes I was sending you. There's a kind of repetition in that, right? He was saying, hey, we received your inquiry on Facebook about about the list of homes. Thank you for registering for that, and then reemphasizing it and however twisted he had on it. But what I heard was he repeated why he was calling them at least twice in the first sentence or two. Who he was and why he was calling them, that he was reaching back out to them because they sent information, either reaching back out to thank them or reaching back out to confirm they were getting what you were sending them. Is that about right, Edward? Is that about the...
Absolutely. They have no idea why I'm calling. They don't know who I am.
Right.
I'll have to let them know. And kind of the point that you guys were saying is my most recent buyer's consultation that was set, that I'm going on tomorrow, if you look into my follow-up boss, you would see that I dialed their phone 25 times.
There you go. My point. That's my point exactly. 25 times.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has a meeting. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's do some math because I'm a math guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those calls probably took Edward 5 seconds to make. Did you leave a voicemail every time?
Texted.
Text. Okay, so let's call it 10 seconds per call. Very minimal amount of time for the whole. You're talking about 5 minutes total of all the days and times that he called. Okay, landed him a meeting on time on call 25. And let's assume this buyer is pre-approved or can be pre-approved. It took him 5 minutes worth of work throughout his days that it took him to get a hold of this person to make 9, 12, 15 grand, depending on what's your average price point out there. 300?
50,000.
350. So what's that? 9. That's 11. That's 10.5, right? Yeah. So $10,500 is what he'll make off of this person if they buy at the average. And that's my point. I have a brokerage. We have a little over 100 agents. We use Smart Auto. This is not a sales pitch for them, just so you know. We do use their service. I think our average response, and this is all text message, by the way, we don't do any calls. But again, personal preference, calls work for some people, they don't work for others. Us, we have too many agents to do phone calls, way too many leads. I think our average is like over 14 or 15, isn't it? 15 text messages or something, Stefan, before we get a response back.
It's like that. It's quite a bit.
Yeah, and then once we get a response, we typically get them to answer about 3 to 5 questions before we'll say, okay, great, we're going to get this over to your agent and we're going to have them call you, whatever, right? But let that sink in. the average is 15 text messages that they get from the same phone number before they stop and respond. So think about the why. Why does that happen? Why after 14 text messages they respond on the 15th? Okay, because text message number one probably came when they were at work. They looked at it real quick. They went back to their day. 15 of their friends texted them throughout the day, and they forgot about you. Same thing happened on day 2 and day 3 and day 4 and day 7 and day 10. Or they were driving home in the evening time and they forgot about you again. But text 14 or text 15 caught them when they were just hanging out watching, whatever on TV. And they were like, oh, yeah, that's right. Let me get back with them real quick since I'm just sitting here messing around on my phone. Right? Again, this is not an instant gratification business. Just because you send an email or a text message does not mean that person's going to drop everything they're doing and respond to you. Mm-hmm. Especially when it's something about buying a house. That's not something. It's not like they're going out and buying Uber Eats. They're, the $6-7. You're talking about multi-$100,000, sometimes up to $1 million deals on average. It takes a little bit of time to finesse and finesse to work with these people and do these things. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give to people who want to be successful. One of the biggest agents in Austin that I know does about $25 million a year. He's a solo agent with 2 admins and a contract close coordinator. Built his whole business on leases. First 3 or 4 years of his career, he did nothing but leases, and I kid you not, he still does leases. He still does leases whenever because they turn into buyers and eventually they turn into sellers, and every year he's constantly gone up. But you know what that was? He worked with people who didn't have the credit to buy a home.
Yep.
Helped them get into a rental property, helped them build their credit, and you know what? That he is their savior now. They love him. Everybody they know that needs a realtor, they tag him. When people ask for realtors here, he gets tagged like 15 times. I kid you not. Like in some of those Facebook like for sale groups when people ask for referrals, stuff like that. And he stands out to me because I see his name get tagged all the time, everywhere. And that's my point, guys. It's a relationship business. It will always be a relationship business. Your ultimate goal should not be, let me find out if they're approved before I even offer them any of my time. Your ultimate goal should be, it's going to cost me $5 to buy this person a cup of coffee. Let me invite them to a Starbucks that's close to me so I don't have to drive really far, meet with them, create a relationship, make a friend, and maybe I'll get 6 other deals from that. If you look in the group, the social agent group, and you search for people like the word referral or whatever, you'll see a ton of people talking about how leads that they've met with and they talked to have referred business to them, and they've referred a lot of it. It happens. All right, so that's guys. That's all I have to say on the subject. We're approaching minute 45. I tend to try to want to keep these between 30 and 45 minutes. So let's do this, guys. If you're watching the live in the social agent group, post some questions in there. I'm going to look through here right now and see if there's any questions I can answer in here right now. And let us answer them for you.
Yeah.
So
at some point have Edward back to do a part 2.
Oh yeah, no, we'll definitely do a part 2. I think there's just too much. There's too much in your follow-up to fit. Yeah, we've got too much here. So JJ Jankowski, who do you recommend to hire for follow-up versus not automated? I mean, Smart Auto is the only one that I know that's live follow-up when a person responds, right? And let me tell you, just for those who are going to ask the question, there's not a human sitting behind the computer manually sending every text message that goes out. The initial lead comes in, they get texted initially by a human. If they respond, that conversation continues via human-to-human interaction. If that lead goes cold, they go on to what they call the cold drip. That's when the automated messages start. The automated messages are there to entice that person to respond. Once that person responds, a human picks that conversation back up. So they're not talking to a bot. They're not talking to an automated system. They are conversating with a live person at that point. I'm going to clarify a couple of other things for you all. The social agent is a one-time fee training. I offer it via a video option if you don't want to wait the month and a half, 2 months that my lead time is on my one-on-one, or I offer it via one-on-one and it has a longer lead time. The goal of that training is to teach you how to generate leads on your own so that you can control your marketing, turn your ads on and off when you want to, etc. Then there is lead source management. Lead source management is partly owned by me. That is the company that is a monthly fee with a guarantee of 30 leads per month. And we follow up on your leads for you either through our call center or Smart Auto, whichever package you prefer. You get a Smart Auto account with one of them. So for the people who don't want to learn how to do this on their own or who don't have the time to manage it on their own, that's what LSM is for. That's where LSM will come in handy for you. Mm-hmm. So those are the differences between, what we offer. And then of course, what you see here are the webinars. These are always going to be free. You're not going to get the lead gen training on a free webinar, obviously, but you will get help moving forward past, or post lead inception, right? Let me see if there's any other questions here. Here's one from Jad Bordner. How does an initial buyer consult look? Do you do a presentation or do you just chat? Short answer. Do you just chat, make it casual, or do you do a consultation?
I build rapport. I give a 50,000-foot overview of the process, and then I said this in my message to everybody on the page, but this is essentially what my close looks like. After I've built rapport, I give them the overall.
Could you get closer to the mic again? Just a little bit closer to the mic. I got it.
So I build rapport.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a 50,000-foot overview of the process. And then at that point, they ask me what's next. That is when the conversation about the lender comes in, because they have not spoken to a lender. Most people that you talk to will have not spoken to a lender. And then at that point, I ask them, well, great. Would you like me to help you buy a home? And when I ask that question, I smile and I nod my head. I say, so would you like me to help you buy a home? And then at that point, I shut up, I smile, and I wait. And in that moment, people become uncomfortable in silence. And if in negotiations, this is a negotiating spot, but it's very similar, where the first person to talk essentially loses.
Yeah,
I sit there for a long time and then I'll wait, I'll smile in silence until they awkwardly say yes. And at that point, I'll say great.
What's funny? What's funny is I have a whole webinar on my other YouTube channel that is literally titled "Shut Up and Listen." That is the title of it. It's all about, ask your question, then shut your mouth. Mm-hmm. and let that lead talk, let that client talk, because 9 times out of 10, once they do break their silence, they're going to answer about 15 questions for you without you even having to ask. So that's definitely a good example you just used. All right, guys, we're coming up on 50 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut us off here. If you all have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, ask any questions that you need. A couple of things that are coming up. It's hard for us to put out a link because this is not a standard webinar. We're live streaming into the group. So every other Wednesday at 3 p.m. we will have these webinars. We'll have a different guest speaker every time, or it'll just be us, myself, Lewis, and Stefan going over some things that we feel we need to go over with you all that will add some value to your day. Once we finish each webinar, the webinar will be saved as a post in the group, but I also download the videos from Zoom, and I have Stefan upload those into our lead source management / social agent YouTube. When today I'm going to post the first YouTube link into the group when that's done this evening. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that if you do miss a live or you do miss anything that we post, or we just post something on the YouTube channel that may help that wasn't us live, you will get a notification because you're a subscriber, letting you know that you have there's new content up for you all. Again, if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day, and we will see you all on October 9th at 3 p.m. Central. Edward, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Edward.
Thanks, Edward. Appreciate it, man.